Welcome to another episode of 5-Minute Mobility with Coach Nate. Today we are working on the hamstrings and hips and trying to find another way that we can relax while we stretch. So you see he's got the leg up the post, trying to have it vertical. The far side leg is also nice and straight with the foot pointing towards the ceiling. We don't want to have the hip rolled as such where the leg kicks out and we rotate the hips. We're looking for nice square hips, flat to the ground. If you can't get that close to the post, just back up as such. Don't let the leg bend, but keep it nice and straight. So you might need to back way up if you don't have really flexible hamstrings yet. As you can see, we've got a big 90-degree angle going between the leg that is perpendicular to the body, nice and vertical up and down the post. Again, if you can't get quite into that range of motion, just back yourself up a bit. If you're really flexible, you can pull the leg off. That bottom leg is still trying to stay straight on the floor. You could technically slide past the post in this regard. If you don't have a post like this at home, well, here's one more variation. Yeah, so you can pull yourself up to there as well if you want to add a little bit more stretch. Those are advanced level stretches, obviously. At your home, if you don't have a post like this, you could just use your door frame. So your leg goes up the door frame and slides through. Or you could use the corner of a wall in the hallway. Next, again, 90-degree angles. We're going to back that hip up until the leg that is against the post or wall has a 90-degree angle. We cross the other ankle across, and then we sit the hips down, again, trying to keep the hips nice and straight. You can push on that knee. If you're not able to keep the hips straight, just slide back away from the wall a little bit more, so that way you're not rotating and getting the hips up off the ground. As I apply pressure to push the hip away, we get a decent stretch through the upper capsule of the hip. And then now as I lift up just to give it a bit of a hug and drop back down, it gets a little bit more of the glute on that far left side. Again, work around in the corners, take deep breaths, relax. I'm listening to a podcast here while I go through this stretch, so it allows you to multitask and get some stuff done. This third stretch is more for the IT band, which is a very difficult place to stretch. So we're looking at the left side IT. I've dropped the foot down. I roll the knee over to the side. The left ankle is still on top of the knee. And now I'm pushing away on that thigh. And I'm feeling the stretch in the high hip / high IT band on the left side. That's the far side from the video. Technically, you don't need the wall anymore for this, but it does help to keep your foot from sliding back. And it's just a nice flow from those first two stretches. This is a great stretch flow for after running. If you've been doing a lot of lower body work, hip stuff, that kind of thing, it's just a real nice stretch. So we double torqued the IT band there. I just give it a little pull over to kind of set the hips back, and then I'm just going to shimmy to the side and move right over into these other stretches. So again, start back from the wall if you need to. If you don't have the full range, get that leg nice and straight so we're getting a good hamstring and behind the knee stretch. You're also going to get a little bit of calf. As you can see, my toe is below the heel here. If you're real tight in the calves, your toe is going to point upwards. Once again, both legs straight, hips are parallel to each other. We're not rotating the hips and getting a big twist going on there. And trying to relax, keep the low back down. You can apply some PNF here where you push against the wall or post with that top leg. So I'm driving in. Push, 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 push to fire those hamstrings, and then relax. And you can see my body adjust just a little bit. And once again, if you're very flexible and you can handle the advanced stretch, you can just grab on ankle, grab onto the toe, get a little bit of extra range of motion through that stretch. As always, work the corners a little bit, dig out the spots. I like to move my toe up and down. It seems to add a little bit into the calf and behind the knee capsule, and just allows it to relax a little more when I stop doing the toe pumps. As always, we're holding most of these stretches for around a minute. Again, you'll see here we shift back so that we're at 90 degrees. Lift the hips, ankle across, and then drop the hips back down, push against the knee. You might find that one side is more flexible than the other. You can adjust slightly in both directions if you need to slide back so that it's slightly less stretch involved, or slide back in. Ideally what we're looking for are those square hips, hips down nice and flat, and then the ability to push the knee away a little bit, feeling it into the upper hip, through into the glute a little bit. You don't have to make any weird deep breaths, but you should be constantly focusing on breathing and just relaxing as you go. I've pulled up on the hip now, so it's turning into a little bit more of a glute stretch on the near side. Maintaining my balance, keeping my back flat to the floor, relaxing my head and neck so that my traps and neck don't get all fired up from holding them up in the air. And then as I slide out, I pin that foot and I roll it over to the other side. So now you can see from this angle here where we're getting a decent stretch through the IT band on the near or right leg. We're double torquing the IT through the knee joint and the hip in ways that it doesn't really cross those in ways that it can be stretched, right? We can't bend the knee medially and we can't move the hip across because the other leg is in the way. So this gives us a bit of a double torque, almost the way that black stripe on the shorts kind of torques around the hip there. You'll feel it high in the IT band. If you got really tight IT bands, you might feel it midway or lower in it, but usually it's high in the hip. I usually give my back just a little twist to straighten it out. And just for a final finish, I always kind of sit up and lean forward into a bit of a forward fold. You can use the post for assistance. You could use your door frame for assistance. You could hang out here for longer. I just did a bit of a test for you.